My name's Jake, and any lingering questions I had about my place in my family vanished the day I stumbled across the will. It wasn't some grand, orchestrated moment where my parents sat me down to break the news. No, I found out completely by chance, through pure coincidence. A few months back, I was at their house, the same house I'd been helping them keep afloat for the past 5 years. The mortgage payments, the occasional grocery trips, even repairs around the place. I was the one holding it all together while my brother Eric contributed absolutely nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. No job, no responsibilities, just lounging around, expecting life to serve him everything on a golden platter which my parents seemed all too eager to provide. That day, I was sorting through some paperwork for my dad because, as usual, neither he nor Mom could be bothered to handle it themselves. He'd asked me to scan a pile of legal and financial documents, and I didn't think much of it until I spotted a folder labelled Estate Plan and Last Will and Testament buried in the stack. I'm not one to pry, but curiosity got the better of me. After all, I'd been the one ensuring they had a roof over their heads. It didn't seem unreasonable to wonder how they'd arrange things for the future, so I opened it. And that's when I saw the words that hit me like a punch to the gut. Everything was going to Eric. The house, their savings, their assets. Not a single mention of me except for some vague boilerplate line about loving both their sons equally. Equally? Sure. That's why they decided their precious golden child would inherit it all, while the son who'd been keeping them afloat got nothing but a hollow sentiment. I felt like an idiot. Here I was, going above and beyond for them, making sure their bills were paid, ensuring they never worried about food or shelter, while they quietly planned a future where I was left with nothing. And Eric, he wasn't just idle, he was entitled. He never lifted a finger to help, never chipped in a cent, yet somehow he'd convinced them he deserved everything. Maybe because he was the younger son, maybe because they'd always coddled him, maybe because he knew exactly how to play them. Whatever the reason, they'd made their choice clear. I sat there, staring at the document, my hands trembling with a mix of anger and betrayal. How long had they been planning this? Had they always seen me as their financial fallback, nothing more? Did they even value what I'd done for them? I don't know how long I sat there frozen, but eventually my dad noticed I hadn't scanned anything. "Jake, what's taking so long?" he called, strolling back into the room. I didn't bother hiding the will. I held it up and locked eyes with him. "So this is how it is?" I said, my voice eerily steady. "Everything to Eric? After all I've done for you?" His face paled for a moment, but then he let out a sigh, like I was some kid throwing a fit. "Jake, it's not what you think," he said. "Really?" I shot back, my voice rising. "Because it looks pretty damn clear to me. I've been paying your mortgage, buying groceries, fixing up the house while Eric does nothing, and you still decided he's the only one who matters." Dad shifted uncomfortably but didn't explain. Instead, he mumbled, "It's complicated." That was it. No apology, no real justification. Just those two weak words and a look that said he expected me to let it go and keep being their financial crutch. I could have stormed out right then, but I needed to hear it from both of them. So I called for my mum. When she walked in and saw the will in my hands, she at least had the decency to look ashamed, but her words made my blood boil. "Jake, honey, you don't need an inheritance," she said softly, like she was doing me a favor. "You've got a good job. You're self-sufficient. Eric, he struggles. We just want to make sure he's okay." That was the moment something inside me broke. They weren't even pretending otherwise. They knew exactly what they were doing, and in their minds, it was perfectly reasonable. They'd spent years enabling Eric's laziness, and now they were rewarding it by giving him everything while I was cast aside like an afterthought. I took a deep breath, gritted my teeth, and placed the will back on the table. "Got it," I said, my voice calm but cold. "Good to know where I stand." Then I turned and walked out, ignoring their protests as I shut the door behind me. They'd made their decision. Now it was my turn to make mine. I didn't return to their house after that. I didn't call, I didn't check in. For the first time in years, I let them deal with their own problems. If something needed fixing, they could figure it out. If they needed groceries, they could get to the store themselves. And most importantly, if the mortgage bill came due, I wasn't paying it anymore. The silence lasted about 2 weeks. At first, I think they thought I was just sulking and would come crawling back, like I always had. Maybe they expected me to cool off and apologize for daring to challenge their choice. But as the days passed with no word from me, and more critically, no money, their tone started to shift. Then one afternoon, my phone pinged. A text from Dad. "Property taxes are due." That was it. No, "Hey, how are you?" No, "Sorry for what happened." No, "We appreciate all you've done." Just a blunt transactional demand, like I was still their personal bank. I stared at the screen, almost amused by their predictability. They really thought they could just ask for cash like nothing had happened, that I'd keep playing my role as their financial lifeline, even after they'd made it clear I was expendable. I typed back, "I'm sure Eric can cover it, since the house is his and all." Within 5 minutes, my mum called. I let it ring. Then another text came through. "Jake, please don't be like this. We need to talk." Oh, now they wanted to talk, now that their bills were piling up and reality was hitting them? I waited an hour before replying. "There's nothing to discuss. You made your choice. Live with it." I thought that'd be the end of it for the day. I'd been crystal clear, and not a single part of me felt guilty. But then Eric decided to weigh in. His text arrived late that evening, and the moment I saw his name, I knew it'd be infuriating. Sure enough, it was pure entitlement. "Dude, why are you being such a drama queen? It's not a big deal. Just help them out like you always do." I nearly laughed. Not a big deal? He was really acting like I had no right to be upset. I typed back, "Nah, I think you've got it handled. And since you're the favourite and all." His reply came quick. "OMG, are you seriously mad about the will? Grow up, man. It's just money." Oh, now it was just money? Now that it was his to inherit, it suddenly didn't matter? The hypocrisy was staggering. I shot back, "Then you won't mind using some of that money to pay the mortgage, right?" Silence. A few minutes later, Mum texted again, this time in full guilt trip mode. "Jake, we're your parents. Family takes care of each other. We did so much for you growing up, and now you're abandoning us?" I had to take a deep breath to keep from hurling my phone across the room. Abandoning them? I'd spent years ensuring they never struggled, all while they babied Eric and rewarded his laziness. And now that they had to face the consequences of their choices, I was the villain? I wasn't falling for it, not this time. I replied, "You made it clear I wasn't family when you left me out of the will. Now Eric can take care of you." I could picture Mom gasping dramatically. She always loved playing the victim, even when she was wrong. A few minutes later, Dad texted again, and this one had me fuming. "We're not asking for much. Just enough to cover the mortgage for a few months until we sort things out. Don't be selfish. The word made my blood boil. I'd been bailing them out for years, sacrificing my own money, time, and energy to make their lives easier. I'd done everything a good son was supposed to do. And how did they repay me? By ensuring I got nothing. And now, when I was finally standing up for myself, I was the selfish one. I gritted my teeth, took a deep breath, and typed back, "No. I'm done." Then I turned off my phone. They'd made their choice. Now they had to live with it. The silence lasted a day. I knew they wouldn't give up easily, but I wasn't prepared for what came next. The next morning, I woke to a notification on my phone, a bank transfer request. I frowned, unlocking my phone to check. It was from Mom. She'd actually sent a request for money like I was some ATM. The amount? $3,500? I stared at it, half laughing at the sheer audacity. No message, no explanation, just a cold, shameless demand for the exact amount they needed to cover their overdue mortgage. They weren't even asking anymore, they were assuming I'd cave. I declined it without a second thought. Not 5 minutes later, my phone rang. "Mum." I let it ring. Then came another text. "Jake, I know you saw the request. Why did you decline it?" I took my time replying, "Because it's not my responsibility. Ask Eric." Another call. Ignored. Then another text. "We're going to lose the house if you don't help us." Oh, now it was an emergency. After years of treating me like a cash machine, they were finally facing consequences. I typed back, "Maybe you should have thought about that before deciding I didn't matter." Seconds later, Dad chimed in. "You're really going to let your parents become homeless?" That one made me laugh out loud. The manipulation was so obvious it was almost comical. They weren't broke. They weren't about to be evicted. They just didn't want to touch their own savings because they were so used to me covering everything. I ignored them for the rest of the day. That night, Eric texted, "Dude, just send them the money already. You're making this a bigger deal than it is." I clenched my jaw. This entitled brat really thought he could lecture me. I typed back, "You mean the money you're inheriting? Why don't you send it?" His response was instant. "You know I don't have that kind of cash right now." Oh, so now it was about affordability. He was fine with me draining my accounts, but when it was his turn, he suddenly had nothing. I replied, "Guess you better figure it out then, bro. You're the one they chose." No response. I went to bed feeling strangely at peace, like I'd finally broken free from years of manipulation. But the next day, things got worse. I was at work when I got a call from my apartment's front desk. "Hey, Jake, your parents are here?" I nearly dropped my phone. "What?" The receptionist hesitated. "They're saying it's an emergency and you won't answer their calls." Oh my God. They showed up at my apartment because I stopped paying their bills? I took a deep breath, pinching the bridge of my nose. "Don't let them up. I'm not expecting them." An awkward pause. They're being kinda pushy. I gritted my teeth. I don't care. They can leave. I hung up and immediately got a text from Mum. We're downstairs. Open the door. No question, no explanation, just another demand. I didn't reply. Another text. Jake, we're not leaving until you talk to us. I exhaled sharply, standing up from my desk. They weren't backing down. Fine. I was about to give them a reality check they'd never forget. I grabbed my keys and headed downstairs, my blood boiling. I wasn't scared. I was furious. The nerve of these people showing up at my home uninvited, demanding money like I was their personal ATM. No call first, no half-hearted apology, just a full-on ambush. They thought they could corner me into submission like I was some naive kid. I swung the door open. There they were. Mum, Dad, and of course Eric, standing in a tight little group like they were staging an intervention. Mum had her arms crossed, her classic disappointed mother look ready to go. Dad stood rigid, hands in his pockets, his face a mix of frustration and entitlement, like he couldn't believe I was making him do this in person. And Eric, the little freeloader, had the audacity to look bored, like this whole ordeal was just a minor inconvenience for him, as if he wasn't the root of this mess. The second Mum saw me, she launched into her performance. Jake, finally, we need to talk. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Number, you need to leave. She blinked, like she couldn't process what I'd said. Excuse me? You heard me, I said, my voice calm but firm. You don't get to show up at my apartment demanding money, that's insane. Dad scoffed. Are you really going to let us lose the house over some petty grudge? I let out a bitter laugh. Petty grudge? You mean the one where you decided I was good enough to pay your bills, but not good enough to be in your will? That grudge, Mum gasped, clutching her chest like I'd wounded her. Jake, that's not fair. We did what we thought was best for the family. I tilted my head. Best for the family? You mean best for Eric? Just admit it. Silence. A long, heavy silence. Eric, who'd been oddly quiet, finally spoke up. Look, man, I don't even want to be involved in this. I didn't ask for anything. I turned to him, letting loose. No, you just take everything that's handed to you. You're 28, Eric. Get a damn job. His face flushed. Dude, what the hell? I stepped closer. You heard me. You want to inherit the house? Act like a homeowner. You want to be the golden child? Start paying their damn bills. I'm done being your bank. Eric looked away, suddenly fascinated by the ground. Mum took a deep breath, recalibrating her guilt trip. Jake, he's your brother. I nodded. Yep, and I've supported him longer than you ever have. Dad's face darkened. You're being selfish. I laughed, a real genuine laugh. That's rich coming from you. I gestured between them. You two decided Eric deserved everything, and I deserved nothing. And now that you're facing the consequences, you're trying to guilt me into fixing it. Not happening. Mum's voice sharpened. We thought you'd be mature about this. I raised an eyebrow. Mature? You mean quietly accept that I was betrayed and keep paying your bills? Because that's what you wanted, right? Dad stepped forward, trying to intimidate me like he did when I was a kid. Jake, we raised you. We fed you, clothed you, gave you everything. The least you can do is help us now. I met his gaze, unflinching. I already did, for years, and you repaid me by cutting me out. Mum's lip quivered. We thought you'd understand. I exhaled, shaking my head. Oh, I understand perfectly. I understand I was never family to you, just a paycheck. Silence again, a thick, undeniable silence. I turned to Eric, who was still avoiding eye contact. And you? What's your excuse? You've had years to grow up, to get your life together, to contribute, but you didn't, because you knew they'd bail you out. And when they're gone, you expected me to step in, huh? Eric snapped. What do you want me to say, man? I didn't ask for this. I nodded slowly. Right, you didn't ask. You just took. His mouth opened, then closed. He had nothing. Mum tried one last guilt trip. Jake, we're family. Family takes care of each other. I stared at her for a long moment before answering, exactly. So why didn't you take care of me? She froze. No words, no comeback, nothing. I let out a slow breath, feeling lighter than I had in years. We're done here. I turned and walked back inside, closing the door behind me. Before I even reached my couch, my phone pinged. A text from Dad. Wow, after everything we've done for you, you're really going to abandon us? I smirked, typing back, no. You abandoned me. I'm just accepting it. Then I blocked their numbers, but I had no idea that blocking them would only make things worse. It didn't take long for the situation to spiral. Less than a day after I cut contact, I started noticing posts on Facebook. My parents weren't tech wizards, but they sure knew how to play the victim online when it suited them. At first, I thought it was just their usual drama, airing family issues for all to see. But as I scrolled through their profiles, I realized this wasn't just about me refusing to pay their bills. Their posts were cloaked in family love, but were obvious jabs at me. Mom posted something about how she didn't raise her son to be so selfish, and how real family supports each other no matter what. A few of her friends commented, calling me a disappointment and saying I'd lost sight of what matters. Then Dad jumped in with his own post. So-called family shouldn't turn their backs when you need them most. We gave everything to our kids, and this is how we're repaid. My son, who should be helping us in our later years, has chosen to abandon us. He tagged me, adding a snarky, "Hope you're happy at the end." But the real gut punch came from Eric. I should have known he'd join the circus. He shared a post dripping with lies. Some people think family is just about money. They don't get that it's about love and sacrifice. I'd do anything for my parents, but some people are too self-absorbed to see that. True love means helping those who raised you. He even threw in a veiled dig. I wish some people could learn what family really means. I love my parents and am grateful for all they've done. That was it. That was my breaking point. I sat there staring at the screen, stunned. How had it come to this? They'd twisted the narrative, painting me as the selfish son who refused to support his devoted parents, the son who didn't appreciate their love. How dare they? I'd always been the one working hard, contributing, never complaining. Yet somehow, they'd convinced themselves they were right, and now they were broadcasting it to everyone. I didn't want to react rashly. I stepped back, gathered my thoughts, and waited a few hours. But the more I reflected, the more I knew I couldn't let them get away with this. If they were going to drag my name through the dirt, I was going to tell the truth. So I opened my phone and started typing. I logged into my own Facebook account, the one I used for close friends and real family, and posted a long update. I wasn't here to play their game or get sucked into petty arguments. I wanted to set the record straight. Here's what I wrote. I've been silent the past few days, but I can't stay quiet anymore. My family has been posting a lot about me online, painting me as the bad guy, the selfish son who won't help his parents in their time of need. I'm here to tell the truth. I've always supported my family. Since I was old enough to work, I've been the one paying bills, buying groceries and keeping things together. But there's a limit to how much you can give when you're not respected in return. For years, I've watched my parents favor Eric, giving him everything, the house, the money, their attention, while I was expected to keep giving without ever being valued equally. And some of you might think that's just how family is. But family should be mutual. When I discovered my parents left everything to Eric in their will, I realized how one-sided this relationship was. They didn't even consider me, not for a second. They've made it clear I'm just the one they rely on when times are tough, not someone they truly care about unless it suits them. I funded their lifestyle for years, vacations, bills, even property taxes. And for what? To be treated like a backup plan? I'm done. I'm not just a wallet they can dip into. I'm a person, and I deserve respect. I've earned the right to be valued for who I am, not just what I can offer. As for Eric, it's time he grows up. He's 28 and has never held a job in his life. He's been enabled for so long it's no surprise he's their favorite, but he's had plenty of time to get his act together, and now it's his turn. To everyone who's been following this drama and siding with my parents, know there are always two sides. Family matters, but so respect does. I've given enough for a lifetime, and I'm not sorry for stepping back. This isn't me abandoning family, it's me choosing myself. To my parents, I wish you well, but I'm done being your doormat. I hit post, and a wave of relief washed over me. For the first time, I was telling the world my truth, not letting it be buried under guilt trips and manipulation. I wasn't going to let their narrative define me anymore. The responses came quickly. People I hadn't spoken to in years reached out with support. Cousins, friends of my parents, even distant relatives liked the post or sent private messages, apologizing for what I'd been through. It felt liberating to have the truth out there, unfiltered by their lies. But then came the backlash. My parents and Eric lost it. Eric messaged me, "You're a traitor. You really had to air our business like this? You have no respect for family." Dad called, practically shouting, "You've ruined everything, Jake. You'll regret this. You'll regret cutting us off. You'll regret turning your back on your own family." But I didn't regret it, not for a moment. I blocked them all. I was done. And for the first time, I was free. Free from the toxic hold they'd had on me for so long. As the days went by, the weight lifted off my shoulders. I was done being treated as less than. I was done fixing everyone else's problems. I finally had the freedom to live my life on my terms. No, I don't feel bad for cutting them off. I deserved better. I still do. And from now on, I'm choosing to surround myself with people who value me for who I am, not what I can give them. It's time to move forward for good, and I will. What are your thoughts? Share them below.